All right, so it looks like it's time to fully uninstall TikTok. I'm not joking, because every time I cover this application, there's always something insane going on. But basically, in essence, there's been some privacy policy updates that have been rather controversial. And on top of that, due to I believe some servers were getting moved, or data was getting moved to a different server, so people were noticing stuff that they had no views, none of that stuff. But anyways, so if you're not aware, I'll just give you a brief rundown of basically, I guess, TikTok in the last year. So essentially, TikTok was supposed to be banned in the US. Sadly, it lasted maybe less than 24 hours. And basically now, there's been a USD joint venture in order for people to, bridge the gap, or in order for the US to have its own, I guess, TikTok or whatever in the US. So that's the deal that they went with. And you might be asking yourself, TikTok is Chinese based. Why would they want to do that? And I can only speculate, but I can give you an educated guess. And the educated is something like this. It's in essence, TikTok, the US marketplace is absolutely massive. And so missing out on that is a huge chunk of revenue. So it's better for, ByteDance to just, take a deal with the US and, get access to that market. Because once you get access to the American market, sky's the limit. So anyways, that's basically the gist of it. And, just anecdotally speaking, my experience with TikTok has never been the greatest. I'd never been a fan of the app since day one. I downloaded it for a bit during the pandemic, and I got kind of sick of it after maybe a couple months. And then I tried uploading content to it maybe 2 years ago, but it didn't really get anywhere, unfortunately. I tried short form content for a while, but it was not for me. So it's pretty cool. It was kind of a fun experiment, but that time is long gone. So anyways, now that we are here, let's do some reading, because we have a lot to catch up on. Because when I tell you guys you have to uninstall TikTok, I mean there's actually a lot to it. It's more than just data privacy and all that, which we will get into, but there's a lot more. So here we have something from the BBC where it says, "What is the US TikTok deal?" Thank God people tend to paraphrase the stuff for us, because I was not trying to spend an hour looking for this. So, a majority American board now owns and operates a separate entity controlling TikTok in the US. Backed by mostly US investors, the newly established TikTok USDS joint venture LLC is governed by a board of 7 directors. No red flags here. TikTok chief executive Shuji Chu is among them, and its Chinese owner, ByteDance, will retain 19.9% stake in the business. The content recommendation algorithm at the heart of TikTok, determining which videos show up on the app's For You feed, has been licensed to tech firm Oracle. Headed by Trump ally Larry Ellison, Oracle already oversees TikTok US user data, under a previous arrangement set up over security concerns called Project Texas. But the company will now secure more of the app, including by retraining and updating its recommendation algorithm based on US user data. TikTok says both the algorithm and US user data will be protected in Oracle's secure US cloud environment. I wouldn't say that. The deal may have been done, but it is likely to receive continued scrutiny. Some Democrats have already voiced concern that the ties between Trump and TikTok's new investor group could end up limiting what gets shared on the platforms. Americans won't be any better off if a TikTok sale ends up with the company in the hands of Trump cronies backed by foreign funding, Democrat Senator Ron Wyden said in December, ahead of the deal being finalized. Meanwhile, Senator Ed Markey reportedly said on Friday Congress should investigate the agreement, citing a lack of transparency and detail. So that is basically the gist of it, and I decided to take a look into what this venture was. And so here we have, TikTok USDS joint venture mandate to secure US user data, that's like a tongue twister, apps and the algorithm through comprehensive data privacy and cybersecurity measures. And here's just, what the USDS joint venture LLC is, just establishing executive orders signed by President Trump on September 25th, 2025. Because remember last year, that was when the whole stuff was going down. And of course, now it enables 200 million Americans, 7.5 million businesses to discover, create, and thrive as part of TikTok's vibrant global community and experience. So basically, America has their cake and eats it too with that. So of course they do their data protection, algorithm security, blah, blah, blah. Now, the reason why you should be worried, if you still use TikTok, is that Oracle is not exactly a squeaky clean company. Now, there's quite a few controversies that they've been in, but there's one particular one I want to highlight. And so here's one where they actually had a case where they were caught selling users' personal information to advertisers. Literally, there was a class action lawsuit over it. So, like, here I have an overview where it says three plaintiffs filed a class action lawsuit against Oracle, and they allege that Oracle illegally sells users' personal information. And where was this being sold? Well, the class action lawsuit was filed in California's federal court. And, they were saying stuff that they had $42 billion in revenue by selling personal information. But anyways, after about 8 months, Oracle actually settled for about $150 million to end claims the company illegally sold users' personal information. So remember, when somebody settles, it means like, that's just like, okay, well, we come to an agreement, because sometimes suing gets ridiculous, especially in the US. And it says here, like, a pair of consumers claimed that Oracle violated federal privacy and wiretap laws by illegally gathering and selling the personal information of its users and all of that. So here we are. And just to make it a bit more, easier to swallow, we have something here where it says the federal judge overseeing the case previously dismissed 3 of the claims against Oracle and trimmed a 4th last year, but otherwise found the consumers had standing to bring the complaint. Mind you, Oracle is a massive, massive company. Some devices, so I think especially if you're more corporate, some of your devices, I guess, or sometimes some of your systems may use like Oracle services, for instance. So here's that. But to show you just a little taste, okay? Another thing that happened is that apparently there's something known as Oracle Health, where they had a cyber attack in 2025 and involved threat actors using stolen customer credentials to access an old Cerner server that had not yet migrated to the Oracle Cloud. And Oracle acquired healthcare tech company Cerner in 2022 for $28.3 billion. So not only have they shown time and time again that they will literally almost like they don't care about, user data, but I've given you 2 instances of a case where they cannot handle it properly. And by the way, health records are even worse to have than whatever the hell was in the other one to advertisers, because that was just them selling it to advertisers. That's just what it was. But health records, who knows what kind of fraud you can get away with that. Now let's get to the source of what all the fuss is about. And so here there was an updated privacy policy on January 22nd, 2026. And so it says, so here, we'll just read the first paragraph, just because every typical one starts like this. So this privacy policy applies to TikTok services or DIS services, which include TikTok apps, websites, software, and related services, accessed via any platform or device that link to this privacy policy, as well as TikTok ad network. Services are operated by TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC. So standard stuff overall. But there's one section that I want to point to here, and it talks about the information that you provide, because this is the real killer. So information you provide may include sensitive personal information as defined under applicable state privacy laws, such as information from users under the relevant age threshold, information you disclose in surveys, responses, or in your user content about your racial or ethnic origin, national origin, religious belief, mental or physical health diagnosis, sexual life or sexual orientation, status as transgender or non-binary, citizenship or immigration status, or financial information. For example, we may process your financial information in order to provide you the goods and services you request from us, or your driver's license number in order to verify your identity. We may also collect precise location data depending on your settings. As explained below, we process such sensitive personal information in accordance with applicable law, such as permitted purposes under the California Consumer Privacy Act. So, let's not pretend that we don't know what this is about. As you know, in the US, literally, there is stuff like the ICE occupation in Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota. And there's a lot of instances with ICE attacks. I mean, there's literally one the other day that was essentially an execution. And then there was the one before that, which was actually another execution. But besides all of that, the point is, imagine now, say they want to find out if you are illegal, or they want to be able to press you for certain things. They look at your TikTok and say, "Oh, you don't look illegal." So now ICE has the what you call it, jurisdiction, I guess jurisdiction, or they have the right You know, they kind of don't, to basically bust down your door and come and do whatever they want.
We made a change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against. Over the course of 2024, we tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech, identifying hateful trends, trying to keep the platform safe. There's no such thing as an end game.
So this is why I'm telling y'all, uninstall it. Because it's basically, you're basically forfeiting your information to basically be spied on. And something we have to keep in mind too is the fact that even beforehand, TikTok was in a lot of hot water for surveilling on their users, or at least with terms of certain privacy acts. I believe I covered those a while ago too. And so basically, with every single private company, there's always a race to get your information. So now, in this case, they want to geolocate you. Now they can do whatever the hell they want, and it's literally, I guess it's a really big brother state. You know, I know it's people say it all the time. Big Brother's always watching, but you know, that's the case here. And so I don't really like where this is heading, because you're basically, people are going to be like scared to upload. So it's kind of like why even beforehand I was never really a TikTok user, because one, I used to get fed stuff like all the time that I really didn't want to see. And on top of that, even when I used to upload, I used to get my stuff like censored because it wasn't like creative or whatever. And I was like, what? And some of these videos would just be me, like me just talking to you right now, or something a bit more like, you know, relaxed, a more relaxed topic. So that's kind of where it is. That's where it is now. And so, yeah, however, not all is doom and gloom, because apparently, I don't know how true this is, so I'm going to say alleged just for the sake of, because I don't know. But apparently, according to Sensor Tower, like about 150% of people like uninstalled the application. So that's pretty good, okay? Though judging from the size of TikTok, who knows how big that is. But yeah, insane. Now, anecdotally speaking, apparently this is something else that I didn't even know about. So I'm just going to borrow this tweet here, but apparently you can't mention the name Epstein. Now, I don't need to really go over Epstein, but in case you're wondering, I mean, the Epstein files and the Epstein files and like the flight logs and all that stuff have been a very big, you know, pushing point for the past, like what, like maybe 6 months, maybe actually longer than 6 months. My goodness. So now, allegedly, you can't say the name Epstein on TikTok in your private DMs, which is even more insane. And so imagine you censoring like something like that. Insane to me. And so on top of that too, I believe there's something about like you can't even say like Zionism or something. You can't like criticize like people, you know, or you can't use the word Zionist in derogatory term, or you get banned. Something like that. So it's basically turning into a propaganda piece. So it's kind of insane to think about. I'm not saying it wasn't like that beforehand. Like, let's not pretend that TikTok was this perfect app, but now it's just more blatant to what it's being used for. Because beforehand, it was more like, okay, let's extract some data and advertise. Now it's like, okay, let's go censor people for criticizing one thing or criticizing something else. And I've seen some other stuff about, like, if you criticize ICE, you get banned or something. But I haven't checked these things, so I don't know. But the part that I'm mostly focused on is literally the part where it says, oh, you know, you have to disclose your immigration status, your financial information, or your geolocation. That should be some red flags to you. And the trick with these privacy policies is the fact that they don't tell you about these things, because even, for example, when you open a privacy policy, you'll see it's just a bunch of words, and you're not going to sit and read all of it, because it's made like that on purpose to cover, you know, legal bases. And now that we have me, for instance, or other people who look into it, you'll go see that, oh wait, you actually can get rid of it, or you can read the fine lines. So yeah, it's basically just a propaganda piece from what I'm understanding. And as you'll see, like going forward, there's going to be more instances of stuff like this happening. I mean, we just had like the age verification in the UK not that long ago that got passed. And what else happened? Ugh. I mean, I guess you could even argue like stuff like Telegram being forced to like comply with like police stuff and being more like, or they can extract information from your conversations to catch you for crimes. When before in Telegram used to be 100% like anonymous, And that stuff was good for stuff like if you wanted to get actual news, because as you know, with like news stations and stuff, literally stuff is all propaganda, and you won't get the authentic news. So sometimes people go to Telegram for stuff like that. So as you can see here, the world's pushing more into a, I guess you can say, surveillance. Yeah, no, you can say it. It's turning to more of a surveillance state. You say, because it's not just the U.S. by the way. I mean, people have been ragging on North Korea and China for years, but here we are, it's coming to the West. So, are you really free? And it's not something to be a philosophical question, but you get the point. But anyways, so yeah, uninstall TikTok. That's all I can really say. Because what's the point? Especially if you're not like making money off of it now. Like there's actually no point in using it because of how heavily surveilled it is, and how heavily you can't even make certain content on particular topics, or else you get banned. So yeah. Anyways, that's it for me today. Yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow my social in the description below. But yeah, this app's gotta go. And hey, if everyone starts uninstalling it, perhaps they'll send a message. Anyways, see ya.